Metal Kitten here with In the Pit Radio, sitting with Joakim from Sabaton.
Hello there!
Alright, so first of all, how are you? How are you doing? How's today?
Today's been very good actually. We're in one of my favorite cities to play actually, Cleveland.
Awesome! That's going to be one of my questions.
Yes, no, it's always like it here. People are nice, and also one of my favorite restaurants is here.
What is it?
I don't remember the name of it. I have a friend called Nick who usually drives us there after the shows.
What do they have? Maybe I could...
Oh, a lot of their own beers, so it's a microbrewery. They have a Pilsner that I remember they said it was, Czech style, like the original one, and unfiltered. And I thought, they said, on the menu, just as good as the original one. I'm like, yeah,
I have to.
For fuck's sake, come on, getting ready, mentally to totally.
Feel a taste of home, at least a little bit.
Yeah, I thought it's gonna taste like shit, and not at all like Czech beer. But actually, it was good. It's turned out to be one of the best beers I ever had. And then I tried their IPA called Citramax, and that was also great. So
we had a place here called World of Beer, and it had like 500 bottles and like 50 to 60 on tap, and they just closed. So I'm like, where do I get my World Beer now?
Oh, that's a shame.
Too bad you can't remember. And then you guys are back so soon. I know we talked last year in West Hollywood, but the tour previous to 2014 was 2012. And it's awesome to see you back, but I'm surprised. How has the past year been treating you guys? I assume well.
Yeah. We've been touring a lot. I mean, we released, we had just released, or was just about to release Heroes actually when we were here the last time. So basically at the same time as we came back home, that was released, and that was a fully booked European festival summer, of course,
You guys were busy.
Oh yes. I think,
understatement.
I actually made a calculation here, and I'm not sure if it was 150 or 160 shows. I think it was 160 since.
So you're basically Iron Maiden now.
No, I think they did it actually hard. I think they actually went over 200 shows one year.
Yeah, I don't know how they do it. It's insane. You could have.
Well, they don't do it today. Trust me.
No. They're taking their sweet time with this new album. I think they've had 2 and 3 year intervals, but this one's probably going to be 5 to 7.
Yeah. On the other hand, I mean,
Bruce,
cancer, and they're not teenagers anymore.
No. But you guys are.
Well, not a teenager, but thank you.
So then the new album has been taking off smashingly, I suppose, this year because you've just been touring nonstop and have gone tour to tour. Now you're on a new one.
Yeah, I mean, it's been very, very busy. Sometimes I realize that I don't have time to enjoy things, because you're always, on the next thing. So sometimes you forget actually enjoying the moment, and which is probably one of the reasons I like to be on stage, because when I'm on stage, I'm only in that moment. Last second or next second doesn't matter. So probably one of the reasons why I like being on stage so much.
So do you feel like you don't get to absorb a lot of the cities that you're in besides dinner and then the show, or?
No, sometimes it is like that. I mean, obviously here in the US, if you're a support band, it's a bit easier because you usually get in quite early in the day, and you got nothing to do because we might have a late load-in or sound check and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So your day is not so broken up. So the mornings or early afternoons are usually quite free.
What are your favorite things to do before you?
Oh, could be anything. Everything from working out to reading a book to playing a game on my iPhone to pass the time to just walking around in the town.
So then you already said Cleveland is one of your favorite cities to play.
Yes.
What are your other favorite cities to play or to visit? What's your favorite thing about the United States? It's much different than Europe.
Yeah, it is. I mean, sometimes it's pretty much the same though. If you go to, New York has got a very European feel to it, But on the other hand, Los Angeles not so much.
No.
That is a very
You have a lot of characters.
Yes. Well, so that's fun because it's always crazy, But
always something different. I'm sure, and every city has its
Yeah,
charm?
I mean, maybe not only the cities, but the states. I mean, I remember Oregon, I like that, maybe because it reminds me a bit of home, you know? If you go to Oregon or certain parts of Canada, you feel like, oh man, I could be back home in Sweden now. And on the other hand, it's kind of nice to be in LA, even though I wouldn't want to live there, but it's kind of nice to visit the freak show sometimes.
What gender is that person? You play that game a lot?
It has happened.
And then your deluxe box set dropped recently. Can you tell us anything about it? Anything of your favorites? Any of the band's favorites?
Yeah, actually, I really like that one because that's probably the best version of Heroes you could ever get, because there's 3 discs on there. So first of all, that's, you know, the regular album version of Heroes.
And that album, I can't say enough in spades about it.
Oh, thank you.
So good.
And then on the other 2 discs is actually 2 separate live shows from the same night, though, from the Sabaton cruise. So I think that's probably around closer to 30 songs or something on that.
Yeah, I think that's what I saw online, was 30 songs, 3 discs.
So something like that. And I mean, it's kind of cool because if you're new to Sabaton, it's a perfect, you know, opener, because you get the newest album, but you also get, you know, live shows, so you can hear, you know, songs from all our catalog. And I think half of Heroes is represented in a live setting as well.
Yeah, I was super excited. I looked up the set list from some of the first shows that you were playing, and I saw that Night Witches was on there. And I remember the last time we talked, I told you that was probably the best song you guys have ever written, and I am so excited to hear it. Probably should.
Oh, so what do you think, guys? Should we remove it from the set list?
No, please don't. I would be so upset. So then, do you have any favorite tracks on there? Any favorite moment on the box set? Any special memory from the cruise?
Actually, the drunken captain. He's speaking in Swedish, though, the drunken captain. You know, in between songs, and it's actually Tobbe pretending to be a drunk semi-Finnish captain. You know, and he's mocking me. You know, quite a lot. So I guess that's pretty much lost to.
He does that a lot on stage, I think.
Oh yeah. I think it's.
But you get the opportunity to take it out on them because you don't have an instrument in your hand. You can do whatever.
Yeah, trust me. But I can't go too hard on Tobbe. He has too bad balance, you know.
Yeah.
I made him fall over once, and you know I shouldn't be doing it again.
Oh, and you got an earful, I'm sure.
That was actually he who tried to kick me in my ass, and I grabbed his foot, but he has some bad balance.
I've been on the other.
Like, and he fell down on his ass.
Was his guitar okay?
Yes, not the rest of him, but he saves the guitar, you know.
He bruised his ass, but the guitar is in perfect shape.
Yes.
Are there any covers on this album this time around? Because I know your Monomarth cover went over crazy.
Yes, we do Metallica's For Whom the Bell Tolls on one of the editions. And what else was there? We have our own little tribute track to Manowar called Man of War on there.
I can't put that connection together. I don't know.
So that one is a lot of fun. And then I think we did one more cover. Yeah, Battle Beast, Out of Control. New young band from Finland. Very, very good band. And great
so that's
song.
Awesome for them to have support from.
Yeah, I mean
it's
not very common that older or bigger bands does covers of younger or smaller bands, but I
think that's what music needs right now, though, is to have that support of the people that have been out there doing it and are still out there doing it.
Oh yeah, I think so too. I mean, a little bit of help every now and then never hurts.
Because now it'll be hard. I mean, you can just download or pirate anything, and if you don't go out and go to shows, you're not experiencing what you need to.
Oh no! I mean, to be honest, in that sense, if not to sound like Dr. Doom, you know, but if people would download the music and not come to a show or not buy a T-shirt,
they at least heard your music.
Then there wouldn't be much left to listen to. I mean, I'd still make music myself, but nobody would have heard about us because the machine with a record label needs to tell people that this is a band you should be checking out. And I guess also with not doing music professionally, a new album wouldn't be 2 or 3 years in between. It would be 5 years in between because there'll be some
Yeah,
other stuff to
and
look
a lot
at.
of people are finding crowdfunding to be helpful. Is that anything that you guys would do, or are you kind of past that point where you have enough support?
Actually, I really love the idea of that, you know, crowdfunding or Kickstarter campaigns. I think it's brilliant. I have a hard time seeing it work with music though, because I think when people are already used to the fact that music could, I mean, some people regard music as something free. Why would they
using
pay?
my ears, I don't need.
Why would they pay for something they know is going to be made anyway and they can download anyway? But I think that's it's a brilliant way though for somebody who has a brilliant idea. You know, somebody who doesn't have the financial skills to, you know, put up a bigger plan, but you know, he can show his device or invention, the idea of it, and then get money for it, and then kickstart a company.
And my take is, a lot of the times with crowdfunding, you'll get the perk is the album. You'll get the album, you'll get some merchandise, you'll get something that you couldn't buy, and that almost makes it more worth it to spend your $10, $20, $50, $100 on something more memorable than, you know, if you were waiting for the release. So if you're going to buy a CD anyways, $20, and then you put it out, and if you have support. But if you don't have support, then you're getting the album anyway, if you're, you know, giving them $20. So I don't think a lot of people see it in a way that's productive. I think they just see it kind of as a cop-out. And that's what's unfortunate, because like you said, it could be such an amazing tool.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and Heroes, how is the reception from the new set list? Because you had already toured before and while Heroes was being released in the States.
Yeah.
So then how's the reception been with more of Heroes in the set list this time as opposed to...
Very good, actually, because with Carolus Rex, we basically, the album before that, we actually hit the road directly after it was released. And there was a lot of songs from Carolus Rex on the set list instantly. We noticed that it takes a while for songs, for people to learn and to become familiar with them. And this time, obviously, we had a bit of a softer start with, you know, the album release, and then Festival Summer. We think we played 2 or 3 from Heroes, because Festival is a party mood, so greatest hit set, lots of pyros, bring the tank on stage, have a good time.
I'm so jealous that we don't get the tank and
I might come someday.
We need the tank.
Yes.
I want to see the tank in the tank cam.
Through U.S. Customs. You're bringing what now?
Yeah, you're bringing a tank. Well.
No, but it's
non-functional, right?
Yeah. Well, it can shoot, but it shoots pyros.
It's too expensive to gas over here.
Yeah. No, but it's a great tool, actually. With that, to have the whole setup, you know, on the festivals where we do pretty much a bit of a greatest hit show all in, and then when we do headlining, we usually focus more on the current album. So I think we did about half of it on the headline tour, and then we also play some surprises, you know, for people who've seen a lot of shows. We throw in unexpected songs. So on the main European headline part, from the stretch from November to February, we played at least one song from every Sabaton album every night.
I need that in my life.
Well, I guess you'd have to wait for a US headline tour or go to Europe.
Well, when is that going to be?
US headline. We have nothing planned at the moment, but hopefully soon.
At least from what I've seen, and I've been in, you know, East and West and seen the crowd reaction. It was phenomenal last year. This will be my first show of seeing the reaction this year. Yep. But from your guys' perspective, do you see it being equal or more?
No, growing. Especially, you know, only since for the few years we've been here, it's growing really fast. But obviously, you know, when you start out from nothing, to double the crowd is kind of easy, you know. If you have 10 people at your first show, you get 20 on the next one, it's kind of easy. If you get 10,000 on the first show, to get 20,000 on the next one, that's a trick. So I mean, of course, relatively, you increase slower and slower the bigger you get. But I mean, we're still 10 times smaller here than we are in Europe anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a base for comparison, but I can't even imagine.
No, that's pretty much it. I mean, a good show for us in Europe could be between 5,000 and 6,000 people. That's a really good night. And a really good night for us in the US could be 500 or 600, I guess.
Yeah, I'm thinking tonight's show, I think the capacity of the venue is probably around 2,000. And there have been a couple of times where I've seen it sell out, like it sold out tonight. One of them was Slayer, and that was recently.
Okay.
So that's crazy to see that many people coming out to support all three of you, not just Nightwish, not just, one band.
I mean, musically we're all pretty much compatible. Obviously we're the little bit of the odd one in the mix, but there's pretty obvious that I think Nightwish and Delane's music should have a lot of common fans. And to be honest, we're not far out there either,
And this is one of the nicest crowds, I think, I've seen in a while. Everybody is so polite, and if you need to excuse yourself, you'll come right back in line or come right back in where you are in the crowd. And I know I had to go use the restroom, and I had to cut through a bunch of people like, oh yes, miss, that's fine, you can, like, oh, okay, wow. Metal shows, you have to fight your way through everything.
No, people are nice here. I like that.
So then you just had a milestone, what is 15 years I saw?
Yes.
How are you feeling looking back on that journey?
I'm feeling old. No, not really though. Actually, when I think of it, I mean, 95% of the memories are good. So, I mean, I could have ended up worse in my life, I guess. Do what I love for a living, and obviously I'm not tired of it, because when we go home from tour, maybe the first day is not to sit down and play music, but the second or third day I end up with a guitar or a piano in my hand and just play because I love to play.
Do you guys have any new material, even anything that you've been thinking of, any riffs, any ideas?
Yeah, of course. I mean, the process of writing songs in the form that, we gather ideas, it's always going on. But nothing has been really written or put in stone.
Do you guys write albums and have too much for the album? Almost kind of like a Peace of Mind Power Slave thing, where you're kind of like, we have too much material, so here's part 2, and then have that album? Or do you start fresh every time?
It depends. If a song was not on an album because it was not good enough, then it will never be good enough for a Sabaton album, I believe. So then it will never be released. On the other hand, if there has been songs that I've been writing for one album, and then we didn't take it on that album because we already had maybe too many songs of that category. I mean, maybe there's 6x8 beats, maybe they're really fast kick drum songs, maybe it's a slow song, and we don't want too many slow songs. You want an album to be a good mix.
You got a really good mix on Heroes, I think.
It's like a roller coaster ride.
Yeah,
it's hard, then it's soft, then it's fast.
But it's not one that's jarring. They all flow together really nicely, so you have a cohesive album. But each song in itself is.
It's a little bit easier when you're dealing with something like that, because there was no set order. We could put them there because we wanted them there to get the nice rhythm. If you're doing something like Art of War or Carolus Rex, where you have to follow the timeline, oh damn, that's a bitch. To get that to go in.
So then, was this album easier to write than previous albums?
No, tougher actually. It was the first one with the new lineup, so performance anxiety a lot, but actually fun, much nicer to record, because I haven't had that much fun recording metal in 10 years or something like that.
So then what can we look forward to in the next 5, 10, 15 Sabaton years, since you're just celebrating your 15-year milestone? Anything in the works? Anything that you guys would love to do that you haven't done?
Yeah, actually I would have liked to be on, now in last year in 2014, I would have loved to be on Omaha Beach on the 6th of June, because that would obviously be the 70th anniversary of D-Day, and do a show there, and it's probably going to be the last anniversary we had the chance to actually have any veterans there.
Yes.
But that was one of those things I wanted to do, and we thought at a time it might have been possible, but no.
You did do your historical sites.
Yeah, we've done quite a few of those. I mean, it's always nice to be on the battleground or very close to it, at least in the same city as something happened.
Is that more empowering when you're playing somewhere where you know that you're...
both because you think of the history of it, but also because it usually fires up the crowd a bit more. Especially, you know, you play 40-1 in Poland, and that was also...
I've seen videos of that. Oh, holy shit.
So 2009, on the actual battlefield, exactly 70 years after the battle. So it was 2009, but that's still a very strong memory.
And that's mostly positive. You have, you know, I'm sure you get negative and positive feedback.
Yeah. I mean, negative feedback, I mean, we tell stories from all kinds of points of view. And there might always be people who don't like that we chose, in their eyes, the wrong point of view. But we tell stories from the way we find them most interesting.
And that's just history in general. I mean, getting my history degree, it's almost hard to find those conflicting sources, but find an unbiased in them.
Oh yeah.
And find, you know, not historical facts, but just be able to piece the situation together with your own intelligence and kind of figure it out. So is that something that's hard when you guys write albums about historical fact?
Yes, it depends on the conflict, for sure, how well documented it is, how much time has passed. World War II is so well researched, so even though, yeah, the Soviet reported this many dead, you know, and Nazi Germany reported that many dead, and then America or the UK would have another report. But actually, there's been so much research done on that war, and so well documented that you don't have to puzzle it out yourself. Professional historians have already been, you know, writing books about it. Yeah, the most sensible thing would be...
Has there ever been anything you wanted to write about but you couldn't because there wasn't enough documented, or you didn't?
Yeah, I mean, I can't find a specific things, but you know, we noticed when we did Deluxe, it's hard to find reliable data when you go that far back. One, eyewitness testimony, of course, is absent, and especially not everybody could read and write in those days. So you would only have the commander's words. You don't know what happened on the fucking battlefield.
Right.
You probably heard, what you read today is what the commander wanted the rest of the world to know about what happened. So that's always a tricky part.
And it depends on whoever's in the room. You know, 5 of us and the 6 of us in this room could have 6 different viewpoints on if somebody came charging in the room and did something.
Oh yes.
So then that makes it equally as hard to kind of put yourself out there and support either one way or the other, or come up with your own way.
Yeah, it's always tricky, especially with you know, eyewitness testimony is at best very bad, unless you're talking about, you know, people who already know each other. But put any kind of eyewitness in a stressful situation, I think war will, you know, qualify as a stressful situation, and you know, pretty much whatever happened can turn, you know, very wrong.
Right. And I think the letters are some of my favorite things in doing research and reading the letters, and they don't even have an agenda when they're writing a letter to their loved one, but you get so much purity out of the situation from that it's almost...
I mean, probably the most honest, you know, way of a war would be to find out something would be correspondence, or actually if somebody recorded 2 soldiers who were both there talking about it. You know, that would probably be the most true case report.
Well, so then how does all of that shape your guys' identity? Has it solidified it? Do you see yourself going in a different way or following your roots?
No, I like what we do, and it seems like our fans like what we do. So I have
love what you do.
I have no intention of starting to write love songs, if you know what I mean. I think there are so many.
Well, you did write a ballad on the last album.
Yes, but it was not about love. There are so many fantastic stories in real life or in our past, so why make up new ones?
Right. Well, so then to close this out I always love asking this. What is a question that you've never been asked about your music or yourself, your band, anything that you've always wanted to answer or have the answer to already?
Oh, I can't think of anything actually. Boring answer, I'm afraid, but I had a similar question before and I still can't think of it. You know, maybe if I known that, I'd probably sneak it into the interview somehow anyway.
Yeah, right. Well, I didn't want you to know that. All right, well, it's been awesome talking to you. Thank you so much for your time, and then I look forward to seeing your set tonight.
Thank you.